The issue is the expansion of federal wetlands jurisdiction, and we've actually got one of the world experts. So we've got a guest who just called in that I'm gonna carry this over and ask him about it, because he's the congressman that's really on the front lines of this fight over the definition of the Federal Clean Water Act. And so we're very happy to have with us the congressman from Ohio, Bob Gibbs, who actually chairs the Water Subcommittee of Transportation and Infrastructure. Congressman, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm with you. Great to be with you.
Well, Congressman, we just had a caller, Alice from Arizona, who's asking what's happening on the question of navigable waters and the attempt to use guidance documents to do what the Oberstar bill would have done. I know you've been leading that fight. Can you update us on where that stands?
Well, in my committee, we've had some hearings on that because basically this administration, the EPA, is trying to circumvent the intent of the Clean Water Act and get around the word navigable to include just about any type of water body. And in their language they had in there, anything that has any relationship to a navigable water, biological relationship or anything. And we're trying to rein that in. But that's it's really a lot what I call mission creep on part of the EPA.
Yeah, I mean, I think if there was any message out of the last election with Oberstar's defeat, it ought to have been that bill shouldn't have been going anywhere by any means. And so I applaud the work that you've been doing on that. Folks, the congressman that's joining us, Bob Gibbs, is the man from Ohio who beat Zach Space largely on the cap and trade issue, among other things that are so central. It's a coal area, an energy area. Congressman, I met you at the Tuscarawas County Fairgrounds. We had that event out there, and it was just unbelievable, the energy in that crowd. You might remember I emceed that event.
Last August, about a year ago in August.
Yep, it was. And this is
that day. Remember?
This is Phil Kerpen guest hosting for Roger Hedgecock. We're talking to Congressman Bob Gibbs from Ohio. Congressman, the question we've really been talking about on the show so far here is what we can actually do to create jobs in this country. We know the president has got the idea of spending even more money, maybe this infrastructure bank, a lot more gimmicks and stuff that won't work. What do you think's the right approach? What can we do to create jobs?
To me, the solution isn't all that difficult, and I've been saying this in my district, and it's kind of three things. One is we can't keep spending money we don't have. We got to get the budget deficit heading in the right track. We can't get a balanced budget immediately because we're in such a big hole, but we got to get it heading in the right direction. And the second thing we got to do is we got to have common sense regulatory reform. When I'm out meeting with businesses in my district, that's a common overriding theme. They don't know what's coming next. And I had a town hall meeting last week. I got another one tomorrow night, but I had some local businesses there that gave me specific examples of what was going on. It's EPA, it's OSHA. I mean, it's all across the board, and it's costing us lots of jobs. So I'm glad to see this Speaker Boehner coming out and asking the president on his new regulations that he's proposing. Let's be some specifics on what's going to cost the economy. And then I think the third thing is some tax reform. We've got the highest corporate income tax rate in the world. It discourages businesses from being in the United States and doing business, and I think we need to lower the rates overall. And I know the president talks a lot about the millionaires and billionaires, but then he wants to tax the small, medium-sized business people, which are the job creators. So I think, if we do those three things, common sense regulatory reform and some tax reform, and get the budget deficit heading in the right direction, you'd see this economy take off, because there's one heck of a lot of pent-up demand out there, but there's a lot of cash at the sidelines, and all the uncertainty coming out of D.C., we've had a complete erosion of consumer and business confidence.
We're talking with Congressman Bob Gibbs. This is Phil Kerpen guest hosting for Roger. Congressman, I know you're a co-sponsor of the REINS Act, H.R. 10, a bill that I'm very excited about, and that's a major priority for us at Americans for Prosperity. Can you explain how that works and why it's so important?
Well, it's pretty simple. When a federal agency proposes a new rule, if it's going to have an cumulative effect of over $100 million in economic impact to our country, it just has to come back for Congress to review it and give it its blessing or kill it. And we're seeing so much, especially in the EPA on the water and the air side, putting out rules. And I've had the hearings on the water side where they're circumventing the Administrative Procedures Act, where they don't go out and have the hearings they're supposed to have and develop a rule based on what they're hearing from the people that are affected. And so this is a way for Congress to do their constitutional role to make sure that major rules that cost our economy are not implemented without the blessing of Congress.
Now, so if I could paraphrase you, it basically just says that Congress needs to be the legislative branch of government, and they've got to write the laws.
It's pretty simple. That's right. And we've got too much of the executive branch writing the laws. And then another thing that bothers me, too, is I've seen it here on the EPA side, you see a lot of lawsuits against the U.S. EPA, and then they take action because they had a lawsuit filed against them. So there's a lot of legislation going on through the court system, which is very concerning. We had some hearings where I had state EPAs come in and actually testify against the overreach of this administration, this U.S. EPA, and the problems they're causing. And I co-sponsor Kim Micah, H.R. 2018, to help rein in the federal EPA and give more authority back to the states, where the decisions are made better because they're made at the local area.
Now, how can something that common sense that just says Congress is going to write the laws, how can Democrats oppose that? How are they explaining why this is not going to be unanimous?
Well, I don't know. I guess you have to ask them because I'm bewildered by it myself. And when I go out in the district and talk to my constituents, talk about common sense solutions here, and I'm getting good favorable feedback. So I just don't understand it. I guess there's so many that want more centralized control and bigger government out of Washington. And we had some oversight hearings in my committee on the nutrient management the EPA's been proposing, and one size fits all, and it doesn't work. We're better off to break this down in local locales and deal with the issues that are out there, and not a one size fits all doesn't work. It will not help protect and enhance the environment.
Totally agree with you on that. I mean, I think, and this is a great action item, I think, for folks listening to the call, I think we've got to confront our members of Congress and basically say, look, if you want to outsource our economic future to the executive branches and to the agencies, we're going to have to replace you with someone who won't, and really make it a litmus test. I applaud the work that you're doing. I think it's critical in the water area as well as in the energy area, everything that's going on right now on the regulatory side. I won't take any more of your time, Congressman Bob Gibbs, but thank you so much for joining us here on the Roger Hedgecock Show. Folks, you can join in the conversation. You're listening to Phil Kerpen, guest hosting for Roger Hedgecock, 877-84-ROGER, 877-847-6437. Back in a few.